It's a fake country from top to the bottom. Nothing as it looks like. Colombia, when you get robbed, he pulls up his t-shirt, shows that he has a gun and you give him everything. In Brazil, they attack you. They don't show the gun. They just hit you and grab your stuff. You learn to operate your passport.
Underwear.
In your underwear. You can put it in your underwear.
Safest place.
Safest place. Sometimes, I'm looking at myself that, what the hell is going on? Sitting in the most corrupt country in South America in a bank. Money doesn't change you. Money just amplifies what's in you. I can really feel it. When you leave, don't run away, because you won't be able to run away from yourself, but you can choose a place where you can develop yourself much better than at home.
How do you like the pumpkin balls?
I love them.
So why did you go to Southeast Asia? By the way, this is take 2, just to be clear. We're not going to be lying. We tried this once and it didn't work.
Is it already recording?
So, part 2. It's recording, yeah.
Can I finish one?
Sure. Go for it.
I can concentrate on one thing at a time.
Okay.
So at the time I worked as a software engineer for bigger multinational companies like General Electric and International Federation of Red Cross and organizations like that. And I felt that in some ways my life is developing. I'm in financial level and in my career, or more like in my career, I would say. But personally, I was stuck, and I was always a little bit of a closed person. When I left to Southeast Asia, I left because of 2 reasons. I was looking for a country that has more open-minded people, or more people with who it's easy to connect.
Okay, but like open-mindedness in what way?
Maybe that's not the best word for it. So people who you can connect with easily.
So you believe your values didn't match the values of the people around you at the time at home, and it was hard to connect, or was it like a different?
No, what I say that I could work on that in Hungary as well, but the effort would be much bigger from my part, because I have to get through my walls, to say so, and also I have to get through the other person's wall as well. And at least when I left, I felt like I at least only have to deal with my own. My own shit.
So there was only one wall instead of 2.
Yes.
With the Southeast Asians. Okay. So it was easier to bond with them.
Or at least on the surface. So I'm on a shallow level, I would say. And I went to Asia because I was practicing Buddhism since I'm 17 or 16 or something like that. And I felt the calling. I felt that I want to experience a country that's originally Buddhist, and how things go there.
Why Thailand specifically? Because I guess many countries have Buddhism or that sort of similar culture in the region, but like you chose Thailand specifically. Was it like just like point it out like this is it, or was it like more conscious of certain I guess features the country has or opportunities that kind of drew you there?
It had many aspects, I think. Like obviously it's a nice place to travel as well. It's full of natural resources and beautiful landscapes. I loved the whole country. And yes, I also made some research on people. So maybe, I don't know if you go to other places in Asia, maybe it's Buddhist, but much more closed. Like, I don't know, I don't want to say examples.
Yeah, okay,
Maybe
okay.
like Taiwan, Korea, but that's already mixed, no, with Christianity.
Yeah. Because I mean, I guess like Tibet well, Tibet is not a country, but like I guess most people that are interested in Buddhism that I know go to Tibet.
Nepal.
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah,
So,
to Nepal. But like,
it's possible
like
to go to Tibet, but it's not
yeah.
that easy.
Yeah, right. So yeah, Nepal. You're absolutely right. Because people that I know that are interested in Thailand are mostly like, yeah, because it's cheap. I don't know. Like I had a guy, friend. He's like, yeah, I can live on the beach. Just weather's good, party's good, Bangkok's crazy. So like, yeah, I never really heard the reasoning between the religious aspect, but it's very interesting that you found that country to be your
Yeah,
destination.
and I had a friend as well who lives in the islands on Kopangan. It's a small like party island, to be honest. So I had someone there, and there is I don't know, a bit personal part of it that I like girls with that body type.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's it.
It's your type. I mean,
It's my
okay.
type, yes. I don't want to get too deep into that kind of things, but you asked me.
Right.
That's one of the reasons.
So Thailand was your place because of Buddhism and girls.
Yeah, and generally just to open up.
Yeah, and your self-development, I guess in that sense. Okay. Yeah, interesting. So then you like bought a ticket, you landed. Like, what were the first impressions of this country? I mean, it must have been amazing. Like coming from Hungary. It was your first time outside of Europe.
Yes,
Based on what you told me.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That
So
was-
yeah, like how was it? Like like you
It
step
was
out in
crazy.
like palm trees and girls.
I think that was my craziest culture shock because, as you mentioned as well, that was my first time outside of Europe, of Hungary. I think it's a really very different culture from ours in every aspect, and I just arrived to Bangkok. A girl was already waiting for me at the airport, and I wasn't sleeping like for 20 hours or something, and she was like, "Let's go to explore the city."
Right.
Yes, that's what I wanna do. Yeah, so when you go out and there are, I don't know, 3 lanes, but 6, 7 cars and 2, 3 motorbikes are going in the 3 lanes. And so there is a massive craziness, huge buildings, the other side, poverty, and it's so extreme. And the people are smiling, and taxi drivers were just waving to me, and I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" You just don't understand what's going on around you. And yeah, that was a magical moment, and for a while I thought it will be always like that when you first arrive to a country, but not really. That I think that first experience was so over the top that it's impossible to beat it again.
But did you feel like, because like I guess coming from a completely different environment where people are much more to themselves and like closed off and stuff like that, like going to this extreme openness and I guess more of a chaotic way of how especially the city worked where you landed. Like did you feel a bit like isolated from them at the start, being so different in your mindset? Like how long did it take to like overcome that and be more like feel like, okay, now I know how it works and I can like mingle with them and be on a similar level?
I think like 1 year.
Okay. Oh,
It-
damn.
it
Okay,
was-
that's very. That's
When
okay.
when I already could speak in Thai a little bit, I mean, you can imagine my my European accent, without the tones and everything, trying
Right.
to speak that language. But after a while, I could express a little bit myself. I could read, I could read what's on the menu and in front of me. I learned the system, how it works, like the buses and everything. At the beginning, everything was a challenge, and in Asia, like such a simple thing like crossing the road. Crossing the road can be hell in Asia.
Why is it difficult?
Because the cars are
Oh, they
just
don't care, right.
coming, they don't stop. And then, oh, how do I cross here? And I sent it to my friend who was at the time in India. That how should I cross here? And he was like, "Man, there is a lamp. You are good." But it was red and no one was stopping.
Right. Oh, yeah. Very different to what I guess we are used to back in Europe.
Yes, and my friend was like, "Come on, it's easy. There is a lamp." I'm in India. There is not even a lamp.
Okay.
So yeah, when you go to such a different place, there are the most basic things can be pretty hard. Or you just go into the shop and how will you greet people? Simple things can make you feel a bit isolated, but once you overcome and learn from those things and you prepare yourself for the next time, then it slowly gets better. But I think it's not just because of Thailand, or it was just my development. Like it was, I think, 6 months or almost 1 year until the first time I just hopped on a bus, because my self-confidence, I didn't feel confident, or I'm not sure, I just couldn't get on the bus because I didn't understand how does it work, and I couldn't communicate myself that what should I do or where it takes. And like Thai buses, you don't know where it comes from, you don't know where it goes, you don't know how much is it.
Oh yeah, that's very different for sure.
Yeah, but then slowly I learned everything. Yeah.
So the language is a big one. Like without language, you couldn't have.
Yeah, for me that's always the thing, because I always try to learn a little bit the local language. Like I don't know, I could just speak in English, but I don't know. It's weird, and in Thailand, not many people speak English. Maybe if you go to a specific tourist places, then people speak. But just to ask a random person on the street, that's another story.
What's a phrase that you used a lot, like in Thai, that you had to learn and use it like, I don't know, like every day or pretty often? Like, what was it?
I don't know, basic ones like sabai sabai, which is like tranquilo.
Oh,
They have the same kind of mindset. Just relax, it's okay.
Sabai sabai.
Sabai sabai.
How long did the honeymoon phase last?
As you integrate and you start the real phase of the country, because first you arrive as a tourist, everything is easy, right? You get an easy visa, you just get stamped into the country, you do whatever you want, you rent out easily Airbnbs, apartments. You probably go to tourist places, so you will have easier time with locals and everything. But as time passes, you want other things, right? You will need a visa, like a proper long-term visa, and then you start to see the complications. You will have, I don't know, a girlfriend, and then you see the downsides of a relationship like that. I don't know, you want to set up a business and you realize that it's pretty much impossible in Thailand, or at least when I was there, to be fair, because things change all the time. Maybe now it's different.
So once you convert from a tourist to more of a mode where you try to build a life for yourself there, more long term, that's when it gets more difficult.
Yes, exactly.
When it comes to opening a business, like what was difficult about Thailand? That was hard for you as a foreigner.
Because it's pretty much impossible to set up a business. I don't really remember the exact numbers, but you had to invest a crazy amount of money in your own business, like 300,000 euros or something like that to be the only owner of the company, or you still needed a local partner. I'm not sure, but it was like very, very crazy numbers. And I didn't understand at the beginning, but now I think I understand, or at least I have an interpretation that they have the mindset that Thailand is Thai. It's ours. You cannot have anything here. But we don't care what you have outside of the country, because I think they have a territorial tax system like Paraguay as well. I'm not 100% sure about, and probably it applies to different things, but I think so. So they have the mindset that we don't care what you do outside of the country, but inside it's ours. It's Thai and it will remain Thai.
So essentially, they are protecting themselves, would you say?
Yeah, very protectionist.
Interesting.
And in everything, they are like that. In businesses, owning land, apartments, things like that, they always have these protectionist rules.
So as a simple man that wants to build a life there, and not having a load of extra money to buy yourself into the country, it's near impossible to build a life there successfully unless you have money, if I understand correctly, or maybe I don't.
So it's possible, everything is possible, just
or they just make it difficult.
Yes, definitely they make it more difficult. With everything, like if we are comparing to Paraguay, for example, the visa has much more rules. You need to show up more money. Even if you are married, you need to have like 10,000 euros in the bank as a safety deposit, and you cannot touch it. Well, again, it's my interpretation, but I think they are making the Thai baht strong.
In other news, Global Citizen Solutions has helped hundreds of families across more than 50 countries to secure second residency and citizenship by investment. When it comes to navigating golden visa programs correctly, they are the best in class, which is why I have partnered with them. They work across 26 plus programs such as Portugal or Greece, Italy, Malta, the UAE, or the Caribbean, for instance, with investment thresholds starting from 200,000 euros, depending on the route. And unlike most firms in this space, they give you one dedicated point of contact, transparent fees with no hidden costs, and they handle everything from eligibility to biometrics all the way to permit collection as well. They've been doing this since 2017. They are an authorized representative of multiple government citizenship units, and their track record speaks for itself. So get the expert guidance you need with Global Citizen Solutions right now. You can book a free consultation by going to the link in the description below. Check it out.
Culturally, they don't really accept the opinion of foreigners. The last time we already talked about it, that when I went to Mexico for the first time and I lived together with 4 girls, and one of them asked me that, what do you think about my country? That question I never heard in Thailand, because they are not interested in your opinion. It's our country, we know it and we know it better. And sometimes it can be very annoying. I had a girlfriend and I went to her family, and her father, I think, had a birthday. And in Thai, I told him happy birthday. And he was just looking through me, like not saying anything. Like,
why? Like what? Because I mean, you try to speak their language. I mean, I would be happy if someone told me happy birthday in Hungarian. Why not, right?
To be fair, it was countryside.
Okay.
Countryside family, very traditional countryside family. I don't know. Sometimes I felt weird with. I went out with girls and guys to travel with that girlfriend, and they were making jokes in the car that one of her girlfriends told her that she found an Australian boyfriend, so now she's ready to find the love.
What?
You don't understand.
No.
So,
walk me through the process.
you mean have men for money? Now she can
Okay, on
find
the
a man
side.
for love.
Yeah. I see.
And then, I was the only one who sits there, and guys, it's not that funny. I mean, you ruin lives.
So it's like talking about with like cheating and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's very, very part of the culture.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it? So it's pretty normal for them to keep husbands for economic and safety reasons and then find a lover? Like that's just
Yeah, something like that. It
Interesting.
happens often. But I think it has its cultural roots. Like, let's take something that we have both, like marriage. What Christian cultures think about marriage? Right? We say when you get married, you bond your lives, you will be together in good, in bad, in health, in sickness, right? You will be together forever, basically. And if you think about in Buddhism, everything is about not owning, everything is changing all the time. So if you look at these mindsets about the same thing, it really tells that they probably just deeply think differently, and it gets reflected in their relationships.
How did you get a girlfriend there?
Dating apps.
By speaking English, it was enough to find someone there, or was it like you had to know some Thai?
English is enough. English is enough, but communication can be problematic. One of my girlfriends was an English teacher, so obviously we didn't have that problem.
But even if you speak the language, I'm sure you like think different, behave differently, have different ideas of how things should be done. Like, were there any differences like that with her?
Yeah,
Like, that's not how you fry rice, or like I don't know, like, something.
Yes, I think so. In many things, how you hold the chopsticks. No, but in behavior, yes. Like it's a very, very indirect culture. Like they don't say anything into your face. They are just smiling, trying to behave well, and then behind your back, they tell whatever they want. They don't really confront that directly as we do.
So they're kind of fake.
Yeah,
In a way.
yeah.
And materialistic as well. You said.
Yes, and yeah, that fake feeling was growing stronger and stronger in me as the years were passing.
Why was it growing?
Because I see the same things in more and more things. First, obviously, I recognized it in the society, in people, how they behave. Then you start to see in business, you start to see in many things, like every aspect of Thailand. And at the end, I was like, it's a fake country from top to the bottom. Nothing as it looks like.
And nobody tells you straight up, like, this is what I think, or this is what it is. It's hard to create a long-term functioning relationship in an environment like that, because how do you know she's telling you how she really feels, or how do you know?
Oh, you can never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough with women, right? So like, yeah, that must be pretty difficult. Because then it turned into a long-term relationship, or that was a different girl?
The English teacher, not really,
Okay,
because she was very insecure. And I think you will have a question like that, but we try to be in a long-term relationship, but when you are in a long-term relationship, your all of your fears and insecurities will come out. And she went crazy. Like, I went over to a friend and she was like, "You are with a girl. I know you are with a girl."
Yeah.
And then
Kind of controlling.
Okay, you was cheating, so now I can cheat too.
The Thai mindset.
The Thai mindset, yeah. to keep the karmic balance. You know?
So the long-term relationship, the long-distance, sorry, relationship was with her. The English teacher.
was with another girl.
Oh, this is a different girl. Different girl. Okay, interesting.
So I think I had two girlfriends. There, one this English teacher and the other one from Bangkok.
How was it different between the countryside and the city? Like in their mindsets, or it didn't really show that much?
Yeah, there are great differences, but I think every major region of Thailand has a bit different mindset. Okay, to be fair, when this English teacher, it was in a region called Isan, which is like one of the poorest. Obviously there they take it a bit much more serious. Actually, when it comes to you providing to the family, they're very serious about that part.
Yeah. But even if you're in a relationship or only in marriage?
In marriage.
In marriage.
Yeah. But it's everything is about marriage. So even when you are
everything leads up to marriage.
Yes. So even if she knows you won't be okay, I'm not gonna say this because there are young girls who just want to experience and have fun. But after a while, it will lead always to relationship. I mean that their mindset will change to having a relationship and getting married.
So the wife mode turns on, and that's what they desire.
Yeah, and because the whole culture, when you get married, you have to pay basically for the family. But there is a reason behind it, because there is no social welfare system in Thailand. So, they get no or very little money from the government. So someone obviously have to maintain the family, and that's why this custom exists. And I think it's okay when it's realistic or fair. Like I was talking with a girl once, and she wanted her family like less than 20,000 euros, like 18 or something like that. Which, I mean, I think it's fair. She was educated, good girl, good family.
That was her price of marrying her.
Yes, and she was very open about it from the beginning. But there was another girl who I was dating, and the whole family wanted a lot of money, gold to buy a house, and just, guys, stop, I'm not the bank,
Yeah, but she's the prize. She's
yeah, we made such a good job raising her.
It sounds like if you're getting married in Thailand, you're marrying the whole family. You're not just marrying the girl. You're like taking over the responsibility of taking care of them. Is it like true? I guess it differs between regions, as you said. It depends who takes it more seriously. But yeah, that's very different from our European mindset, where it's just one person as opposed to, I don't know, 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
What did you leave then? What did you leave Thailand at the end?
COVID came. So when COVID came, I was already in the process of moving to Thailand. I had my visa, long-term visa. I had my flight ticket. I quit my job. Everything was ready, and I bought the ticket to the 1st of April 2020.
Bad timing.
Bad timing, yeah, definitely. 1st of April, day of the fool, or something like that.
You were fooled.
How could I buy? So the world was shutting down. I stuck in Europe. It's cold. I don't have a job. I'm burning money. Oh, it was so bad. So then, after that, obviously I had some financial struggles as well, but when things were stabilizing, it was already clear that there are two countries in the world that are open, and I think one was Tanzania and the other one was Mexico, and so I chose Mexico to to go. And I arrived the country, and at that time it was still so open. At the time, without even asking, you got a 6 month stamp in your passport.
Very different to Thailand, I reckon.
Yeah. In Thailand, there are all the rules about immigration. It's crazy. And then even after the 6 months, you could leave for one day and come back, and you get another 6 months. So it was completely the opposite of Thailand. You could get residency very easily. You could set up business very easily. You could do whatever you want very easily. And then I was like, what the hell I'm doing in Thailand? It's like freedom here. And then that was the moment I decided that I don't really go back to Thailand. I want Latin America. I wasn't sure yet about Mexico because Mexico started to get more complicated as well in terms of immigration. But I knew that.
I guess the visa runs sort of stopped, like you couldn't do it anymore, based on what you said.
Yeah,
like with the
and
6
then
months.
if you wanted to have like a proper residency, there was an economic solvency to it, which wasn't very hard at the beginning. But the thing is that it's tied to the minimum salary in Mexico. And the policy of the government was at the time, but probably it's still the case, that they are increasing the minimum salary each year. So each year the bar is a little bit higher to be able to stay in Mexico. And I felt like that maybe I show all of my papers and I can get the residency this year, but what will be next year? So I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe there. I felt like every year I could fall out from the country.
But you like the conditions and the mindset more than in Asia, based on what you said.
Yes.
I understand the, I guess, systematic or economic reasons, because there were much less rules and you felt much more free.
Yeah.
In the continent there. But when it comes to people themselves, were there any differences that you liked more there in people?
I think that they are much more accepting to foreigners, and that you can really integrate into probably to most Latin American countries even if you came from Europe or whatever. In Asia, I think we can say generally in Asia, but Thailand for sure, it's much harder to integrate, or maybe impossible. You will be always a foreigner, a falang, a gringo, an outsider. So you can learn the language, you can have a business there, you can have girlfriend, you can maybe after many years of struggle, maybe you can even get a passport, but you're never gonna be Thai. It's impossible. But in Mexico, I felt it much easier to
like they embraced you more
yes.
as a foreigner.
Yes. And I think in generally, maybe not Mexico, but many Latin American countries are much more multicultural, so they are much more accepting.
It sounds like you went to Thailand for various reasons, but I guess based on what you said, from this growth perspective, and because it was Buddhist and you were interested in Buddhism since the age of 17, it seemed like the logical choice because people were more open there.
Yeah.
Why didn't you think of, so that was the reason why it tied you down to Thailand, but then you went to South America and realized that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you realize that people there are open as well. Like with these walls that you said, like they don't have as many walls as in Asia. So because of the circumstances there being more free and all that, you chose it as your like destination.
Yes, I think you are right. I mean, compared to Europe, Asia was already a relief because I could connect much easier with people. but it was just like a shallow connection to have fun, eat a tom yam goong, make some jokes about ladyboys. I don't know.
Of course, as you do, yeah.
Thai jokes, you know. Yeah, but to build like a deeper relationship with the country and with the people, I think it's much harder. Yeah, I came to Latin America and I realized that they don't even have those walls, you know. So they are also very friendly, open-minded, fun people for the most part.
So what you were seeking when you left Hungary, you found there in South America.
As well. Not everywhere, but for example, in
Right.
Paraguay, yes. Yes.
Yeah, because you lived in Mexico for a year and a half,
A year and a half, I think so.
and then you went to several countries and ended up here in Paraguay.
Yes. So after the 1.5 years in Mexico, I realized that I don't have a future there. So I wanted 1 year just to travel, and I was like 3 months Mexico, 3 months Colombia, 3 months Ecuador, 3 months Chile. I think so. And after that, I went home back to Hungary and decided to come to Paraguay, where I haven't been before. But
Before we continue, most travelers land in a new country with a plan for where they are staying, what they're doing, and how they're getting around. They thought about almost everything except for data. And so the first 30 minutes is spent hunting for a non-scammy, expensive SIM card in the airport, or overpaying for rooming, or trying to find Wi-Fi to book a taxi they need right now to get to their destination of choice. That is why I'm such a huge fan of Saily. You see, your phone knows where it is, but your carrier doesn't really care, so they'll charge you roaming rates that make absolutely no sense. Saily solves this at the infrastructure level. It's an easy map built by the team behind NordVPN, so the security and reliability are already best in class. You pick your destination, buy a plan starting from under $4, install it in about 3 minutes from your phone, and when you land, you're already online, straight away. It covers over 200 countries and territories. Right now, you can get your first plan by going to the link in the description below. How was it going back home before we go to Paraguay? How did it feel going back to Hungary? Because you've done all this around the world. I mean, I know COVID happened, so you were in Hungary, like, you know, during lockdown and everything. But after lockdown, when things to some extent went back to normal, and you've been through all these experiences, I'm sure you had a lot of, I guess, change in your mindset and social abilities and everything. Like, how was it going back to Hungary?
I remember when I decided that I want to quit my job, when I went to Thailand for 1 month, and it was in December to January. And you know, in January, on, I don't know, Wednesday, I was on an island drinking a cocktail, you know, beautiful sea, palm trees, girls, everything, and 24 hours, and I'm in the office in Budapest. It's snowing outside, you know, like -5, and I'm like, what the hell I'm doing here? Yeah. In other things, like what I learned, like the beauty is just a cultural thing, what you accept as beautiful. After Thailand, when I arrived back to Europe and I was looking at the girls, that, oh my God, how fat these European girls are. Jesus. and and then I went to Mexico, you know, I came back from Mexico and then, oh my God, how tiny are these girls? Look, here are some tacos and beans, eat something, please.
It's all subjective.
So I realized that it's just something that you get used to, the beauty standards, and it's not a real firm existing thing. It's just in your head. Interacting with people. Maybe it's not about Thailand, but what I recognize that my perception of time has changed a little bit as well. So I'm trying to arrive everywhere in time, but I usually don't make it.
Yeah, it becomes like a window.
A window.
You know, like when you say like exact time, it's like yeah, but you know,
If
like
I say 3, it's like 3, 4.
yeah, or you know, there's like a 10-minute range up and down, and that's like still like if you arrive like 3:10 or like something like that, you know, you still feel like you're on time, you're not late. At least that's what I have. Yeah.
Yeah, but the time frame for me is more extended.
Okay.
Like half
You have a
an
bigger
hour.
window.
I have a bigger window. Yeah.
How did it help you grow? Like all this traveling and interacting with different people.
So I think something is definitely happening, not as fast as I thought at the beginning that it will be, but I definitely see the changes since I started this lifestyle. Like if we start from the moment when I couldn't even get on a bus to now when sometimes, you know, I'm looking at myself that what the hell I'm doing? I'm sitting in the most corrupt country in South America in a bank to open up a business account for my business. What the hell is going on here? So yeah, I think I became much more open, much more confident about many things, and it was a slow process, you know. And to be fair, when I started my business, I couldn't concentrate that much on my personal development.
Right. Do other people see the change? People around you back in Hungary, if you go back?
Yeah, I think so. My mom definitely. Probably other people too, but we never talked about it with them, so I don't know.
Okay, you left Mexico for those reasons that you mentioned when it comes to the residency problems with the connected to the minimum wage. Why is Paraguay better in that way? Because you visited many countries before settling down here, based on what you said. So it looks like the best choice for you in South America, would you say, or for now at least?
I had like a pretty exact list, like what I want from the country where I live, and I wanted it to be cheap, to be business friendly, to be Spanish speaking, to be safe. It was important to be able to connect and make friends easily. I was doing, okay, it will sound funny, but to do tests, like I have Tinder, the I don't know, go at package to change my location.
Yeah, the passport mode.
Passport mode, yeah. And I dropped myself in Chile for 2 weeks, and let's see how many matches I have here. And then I dropped myself to another country.
That's pretty smart. That's pretty smart.
Just to see that how easy it is to make connections, let's say.
And Paraguay was easy for you.
I had to turn it off after 2 days. You know, it was ridiculous.
Going back a little bit, did you have like a similar culture shock in South America when you arrived? Well, first in Mexico and then later to the other countries, or not really?
Yeah, I had, but it was like a different kind of culture shock. Like in Thailand. Have you ever been to Mexico?
No.
No.
I mean, my sister has been there. She told me some stories, but not much. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it is truly.
You know, the police looks a bit different than in Europe. They have like a big pickup truck, and at the back of the pickup truck there is a metal frame that the police officers can tie themselves with a rope or something, and they are standing there with huge guns and like, I don't know, like military equipment, you know, and I'm like standing there that what the hell is it? And I look around and I see these Mexicans. I don't know that. Have you heard the style or the name Cholo? It's like Mexicans, with full tattoos in their whole body, like a little bit this gangster style of Mexicans, and I look over and there are these crazy looking Mexicans, the crazy police, and I'm standing there with my luggage. What the hell will I do here? Yeah, I had so many fears in the beginning in me, but mostly it's just a mental thing because we are taught that Mexico and Latin America is dangerous.
So it felt less safe first when you arrived.
Yeah, but then I realized that I think it's not that bad actually. So in Mexico, I think what's going on is that there are a few hotspots that is terrible in terms of crime, and they are so bad that it goes on the country level statistics as well. But if you don't go to that hotspot, you are fine. I lived in many places, and not just tourist places. I lived in Guanajuato. It's north to Mexico City. In the center of the country, it's like a desert, the mountainous region, like
Breaking Bad style.
Yeah,
not to ditch the crime part, but yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah, a little bit. And I was there, and nothing bad happened. Obviously, I wasn't getting drunk in a village with strangers, and there was a few cities that I was told not to go, and I followed what Mexicans told me, and nothing bad happened. Probably it helps too that I'm almost 2 meters tall.
But you didn't have any of these hotspots in Thailand at all when it comes to crime?
No, Thailand is safe. Like you get scammed, but how to say, nothing aggressive will ever happen to you in Thailand.
Actually, how long did it take you to get used to that, like, safety sort of thing? Because like seeing the police with like machine guns and these tattooed men, like, your first response is, because I guess you're not really used to it. Your first response is, this is like a crime-ridden country, and you try to be careful. Walking down the street, you're like looking around. So like, when did it stop and started being normal, like everyday life?
I think the moment when it completely disappeared after Colombia.
Okay.
It was a process that started in Mexico.
And carried on.
When I was pushing my boundaries, and okay, now the Yucatan, I'm okay, let's go to Mexico City. Then I went to northern parts of Mexico. So I was really pushing my boundaries there. But after, if you survive Colombia, what can happen? So traveling to Chile, come on.
so Colombia felt even like more, I wouldn't say extreme, or even less safe than Mexico?
I would say it's more intense.
Intense. In what way?
In everything, like much more people on the street. So if we just talk about the density of the population, there are much more people on the streets. They are going to you much more often, asking for money and things like that. It's much more intense in Colombia. And then you learn to operate in it. Like, I don't know, I have this pack, I can show to the camera. Advertisement. You can buy it from my shop for $19.99. You can have it, but the thing is that you can put it in your underwear as well. So, you learn to operate your passport.
Underwear?
In your underwear. You can put it in your underwear.
Safest place.
Safest place, for sure. And then like you learn to keep your most important things in it, like your main bank account and passport is definitely in there, and then you have another wallet with the exact amount of money that you are able to lose if you get robbed. So there are these behaviors that you learn. I have two phones, for example, one for home, one for the street. And to be honest, I don't use it in these tactics in Paraguay. Never felt uncomfortable here.
Did you have any like encounters with such things, like getting robbed or
Like
dangerous
an armed
situation?
robbery, I never had, but I had things stolen.
Okay.
Things stolen. I think the one that left a mark behind was in Ecuador. In Ecuador, we were very hangover with my friend, and we went to the mountains on a local bus, and we got on the bus, and a guy came to us to help us to put the backpacks in the top. And but it felt like he's working there, and it really felt like that. And the thing was that yes, he helped to put the backpacks at the top, but he put it in such a way that it was slightly behind us, so we couldn't see what's going on. And in one of the stops, he threw it out on the window.
The whole backpack.
The whole backpack. And I didn't see anything from it just when we arrived.
What a turd.
Yeah. So that was like my biggest loss. And like I tell it because many things could have happened. Because one time I wanted to stand up and get something out of the backpack, and he was like, no, sit down, the police is watching, or something bullshit. He told me just to sit down, and because the backpack was already thrown out, and he was still on the bus, and now imagine that what would happen if I turn back, I realize my backpack is not there. I don't know how I would react in such a situation. I don't know how he would react in such a situation. So many things could have gone wrong.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Other than that, like small things, I don't know. In Mexico, I always make a joke that Mexico is such a magical country. I was once in a bus station. And I bought chips for the bus ride, a bag of chips, and I was putting it down next to me, and I stand up to look out to the bus and turn around, and the chips is gone. Someone took. I just didn't pay attention for 5 seconds, and someone took my chips. You just look away, and things disappear.
But do you think this sort of mindset it's cultural, or is it more like they are poor and they have to commit such, like, I don't know, petty crimes or even like more serious crimes, I guess?
Combination of both.
Combination of both.
In Mexico, it's very deeply in the culture with the whole cartel thing, and in the music.
In music as well.
Music as well. A lot of these gangster raps, and everyone is listening to that. Or even like more traditional music, like cumbia, and they have this gangster cumbia, cumbia pandillera, something like that. And so it's very, very deeply in the culture, I would say, and obviously there is a necessity as well behind it.
So the country where you felt the least safe was Colombia, and then Mexico, and the other ones like in Ecuador and
Brazil.
Oh, Brazil as well.
Brazil, I think it's the same level as
really?
Colombia,
Okay.
if not worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because what I heard, it not a personal experience.
Because you were there as well for 3 months.
The week with Mary. Oh no, for a couple of months. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there. Not 3, but like 2 or something like that. And what I heard that, in Colombia, when you get robbed, it's like the guy stops in front of you, he pulls up his t-shirt, shows that he has a gun, and you give him everything what you have, and life goes on. But in Brazil, they attack you. They don't show the gun. They just hit you and grab your stuff. So I prefer the Colombian way. Yeah. So yeah, I think like Brazil, and obviously Brazil is big. Let's be exact. I talk about Rio.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are more or less on the same level and the same intensity, and then Mexico.
So the checklist that you have after all these countries with safety and all the conditions that you needed, like Paraguay met all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
Banking as well.
Banking.
It's very difficult here.
But the thing got resolved because
with the right.
This is the second time we are recording this, and the first time I mentioned that banking is pretty difficult here. Like, for example, I made a transaction of $3,700, and it got stopped for whatever reason. I don't know.
Money laundering or
money laundering rules or something. But at the end, they didn't ask for anything. I paid for VIP assistance, and after that, it got resolved in 24 hours.
VIP.
It was very, very VIP. Yeah. So yeah, but it's definitely hard here. So if we talk about struggles of Paraguay, there are limitations on everything. There are no modern payment processors here. Yeah, it's definitely hard to set up. And what can you make in a low-tax country if your client cannot pay you? Then the whole thing is pointless.
You had issues with rent as well, with like showing your like proof of funds.
Oh yeah, at the beginning it can be frustrating, like finding your first apartment, because they usually ask for IVA, VAT payments to check how much money you make. Are you really able to rent the apartment? And I just arrived to the country, and obviously I was like, guys, I have zero IVA payments, but I can show my bank accounts, and it's so uncomfortable as a European to show your bank accounts, what you have exactly. And then, I showed enough money to buy the freaking apartment, and they were still like, but this is not Paraguayan bank account. Man, you don't understand.
Yeah,
I have
money
enough
is money.
You're not gonna have a problem with me. And since then, I'm always paying on the first of each month to show them that, come on, please. Those things are the hardest, but once you get over it, then I think everything else is fine. If you are new to Latin America, there are many cultural things that you have to get used to. For me, that wasn't an issue because I was like already traveling.
What other things did you have to get used to besides the keeping your wallet in the underwear sort of situation? Besides the safety tactics, we get it, but was there anything else?
For example, I bought a bed for myself with 24 hours express delivery that took 2 weeks.
That's quite a leap though, yeah.
The express delivery, yeah. People don't do complicated things. If it's complicated, you don't know it. Don't do it. Like I went to the bank a few weeks ago I wanted to make 2 things, to open a US dollar account and to have a credit card with all my papers.
It's too much.
It's too much. You can choose this or that. And I was like, but I made an appointment. I made 2 appointments, but no, you can go. I will do it for you. And then, obviously, she didn't do it. And so no, you will get 1 thing at a time done and no more. and it's frustrating because obviously I had to go back 2 days later with the same papers to do the next round. Or what your mom said last weekend when we had the asado. You know, they are doing something and you tell them to do it differently, and they are, yes, I understand, and they continue doing their way.
Before your eyes, they're right.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be another thing that's frustrating.
Is Paraguay your last destination, or
Last destination for?
for like settling down and staying here?
I can imagine myself going back to Europe.
After all this traveling.
I can because when you learn what you learned, and you know, after a time, for you it's different because you are here with your family, basically. But my family is in Hungary. My best friends are in Hungary.
So you still have, like, the best friends you have are still there in Europe?
Yes.
Like the ones that you made on the way.
They are just bros, you know,
but it's on the same level.
Not on the same level. Yeah. When you grow up together with someone, that's different. Different, I think.
Would you say that even though, like, because like each country you've been to has like specific conditions that are, you know, some are better, some are worse, but like, would you say you would still feel, after all this change that you went through, you would still feel more at home, like in Hungary?
Yeah.
And the reason is because of these people, like because of the connections, or are there other things?
Yeah. So maybe to Hungary, I'm not sure that I'm gonna go back.
Europe.
But to Europe, I can, just to be closer. If you know there is a birthday, I can hop on a plane and from Amsterdam to Budapest. It's nothing compared to Budapest and Asunción.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it needs a bigger organization. So yeah, and I work pretty informally at the moment. I have my own business. I'm teaching programming, and it makes good money. But also in my career, I started to feel that the market changed so much that I should go back at least for a year to work at a bigger corporation, just to be able to leave again from the corporate world.
But let's say you move all the important people you have to Paraguay, let's say, and you earn good living. Would you stay here in that case, or you would still prefer to be in Europe?
That's an interesting question. I don't know, like if everyone would come, I think so, I would stay.
Do you think you accomplished what you set out to do with moving abroad? Well, first to Thailand and then everything else.
I'm in process, I would say. Definitely I changed a lot, but I'm not quite there, I would say. And probably it's because I started to build my business. I don't know, I've got stuck in it, or I'm not sure. So most of my days I'm about work. When at the beginning in Thailand, I had much more time to care about myself. I could read, I could meditate, and I've seen it was really beneficial. Like after the first 6 months, there was a moment that I think I already mentioned in the previous interview, when I was walking on the street and someone was walking in front of me, and the question came up in my mind, and I just naturally, without thinking, I asked it, which can sound like such a normal thing.
But it was a huge.
Yeah, but if you are a closed person, like asking a stranger on the street and without thinking, because maybe I can ask, but I play in my head a couple of times that what I will ask, how I will talk, and here I didn't do anything. It just happened like naturally, and that was a sign that I indeed need this, and it helps me. But later on, my attention went to other things, went to building my business. And I'm already 7 years in, or 6.5, or something like that. And I feel like soon I need a change, and I want to get back to that state when I didn't have to work. I didn't have that much responsibilities, and I can concentrate on myself a little bit, especially because I start to feel the limitations of my personality. So I really feel that I wouldn't be able to do more money if I just continue grinding.
What's stopping you from doing that?
In short, insecurities. So what I heard from someone, and I really like it, that money doesn't change you, money just amplifies what's in you. And I can really feel it. Like the more money I have, the more insecurities are coming out of me. Like, is it good what I'm doing? Not good? Should I buy an apartment or invest in an apartment or no? And then every second week I want something different, and I cannot decide. I'm afraid. So I'm one side, I'm afraid of losing what I have built up, but on the other side, I'm also afraid of investing it into something, because I'm not sure that I really want that stuff in the long term. So I feel like I'm kind of stuck in a level. I never managed to build an organization from my school. It's always have been like a one-man show.
All right.
And it's good. I mean, I get like maybe a little bit less than a senior salary in Hungary, but I live in a much cheaper country. So I think I live on a good level. So yeah, I want to put things in order in myself first before I continue on with my life, because I think many people talk about that materialism and like spiritualism, and that they are the opposite of each other, but really they are whole together. You need both, and sometimes you need to grow in one thing, and then after you will feel stuck, and that means you have to grow in the other things. So I don't think it's two separated things. Sometimes you need to grow in materialistic things, and sometimes you have to go personally or spiritually as you wish.
Do you think you can grow them at the same time, or you always have to prioritize one over the other to fully embrace its process?
For me, what works, that I'm doing one thing at a time, and I do that one thing with 100% of my attention. That's I tried before. I tried working hard and then getting to, I don't know, therapy one time in a week, and it wasn't leading anywhere, because the effort after the therapy session wasn't there. I couldn't really integrate things. So for me, I can do one thing with 100% of my attention. Maybe someone else can do it in another way. It's a block from something big that I cannot solve part-time. But if I get over this, then maybe other things I can solve part-time. I don't know. But in generally, what I see, that my life functions much better since I'm doing one thing at a time.
What kind of person will you be if you process all these things?
I don't think I'm far from there, to be honest. Like, I have put many things in place in my life, but what I'm really lack of is like a long-term relationship, I think, with feelings and everything, because I think I made the mistake before that I went into a relationship with someone because I was alone, but I wasn't that attracted, to be honest. And then obviously many things won't work as good, like how to communicate with the other one, how you, I don't know, touch her, kiss her, anything else. And what I have to recognize that I cannot decrease my expectations, or I cannot let go my expectation. I have grow up to my standards.
Okay, and I guess my final question is, what would you say to a person that's similar to you, who's thinking about starting this journey and maybe getting abroad to be able to use it as a means to grow themselves? What would you say to Mano from those times?
I think the most important thing when you decide to leave your country, to have the right motivation. I mean, to leave for something and not leaving from something, if that makes any sense. So when you leave, like, don't run away, because you won't be able to run away from yourself, but you can choose a place where you can develop yourself much better than at home. So have enough self-reflection to recognize what's your real problem and what is the solution to that, and then you choose a country that fits or that can provide the solution, or you can find it easier than at your home country.
We have reached the end. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you want the best tools out there when it comes to living abroad, be it traveling or actually settling down in a specific country, we have put together a free living abroad toolbox with all the services you need, from banking all the way to eSIMs, to make your life abroad much less stressful and chaotic, the way it should be. Also, if you like the content that we are doing on this channel, please consider subscribing, hit the bell icon, hit the like button if you like what you've seen. And if you want to check out our next episode, you can go right here. So check it out.